everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy, your insider's guide to all things franchising in the local area. I'm Blake Martin, local small business franchise owner, and your Heartland Franchise Guy. This is the place for advocacy, resources, and education on all things franchising and small business in the local area. And it's a great place for any entrepreneur to stop by if they're just trying to learn more about the field. On today's episode, we get the benefit of introducing Andee Hoig, who is known very well as a publisher and CEO in town. I want to thank you for being here today. Andee is the publisher and CEO of the Midlands Business Journal and Ale Edge Publications. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Well, Blake, I am so happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me on the show.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the relevance, of course, is it's entrepreneurs that listen to what we talk about. Any experienced entrepreneur knows that you got to have great sources of information on what's going on in the industry, in small business. And what you write and what your family has been publishing for decades is a very important component of that. And frankly, we see business journals like the Midlands Business Journal in most major metros, right?
Yeah, there are. I think any city, most cities, small and large, have a business journal.
Yeah. Tell us, if you don't mind starting at the beginning, tell us about the history of the Midlands Business Journal, founded by your father, right?
Yes, absolutely. So my father, Robert G. Hoig, founded Midlands Business Journal in 1975. Just a quick, fun story. He had been in publishing, working at the Omaha World Herald, at the Sun newspaper, worked for the Miami World Herald. But he had an idea to start a weekly business publication. And so he's sitting around at the Omaha Press Club with a bunch of the guys telling them, hey, I've got this idea for this weekly business publication. And they said, you're crazy. You're crazy. There's not enough business stories. There's not enough advertising. This is never going to fly. And I'm so glad he did not listen to them because he started it up. And here we are almost 50 years later and celebrating just what this business community is all about.
An entrepreneur who launched the Entrepreneurial Journal.
Yes.
To the benefit of all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a couple years ago, I figured out that MBJ, if you look over the course of the decades it's been around, has reported on over 30,000 small business stories.
Wow.
Stories
30,
on small
000?
business. Yeah. Over, 30,000 stories on small business that probably would not have been told.
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant.
That is very significant,
Yeah.
isn't it? A big impact in the community.
Yeah,
big
absolutely.
impact on a lot of families.
Yeah.
Wow. What keeps you, so you've been in the publishing game your whole life, formally took things over when your father passed on with the Midlands Business Journal.
Right.
What keeps you passionate and inspired to stay in your field?
Well, my father did pass away in 2019. So 2020, I took on the role of owner, CEO, publisher of Midlands Business Journal. And, I love telling stories, sharing stories. Every business owner, entrepreneur has a story. I mean, you weren't born into the industry, whatever your business is. Right. There are things along the way that really created and got you to where you are. And some of them have been great, and some of them have been incredibly challenging. And a lot of times we kind of just look at people and just kind of, project or think that we kind of know who they are or how they got there. But we really don't. And I love learning about the journey for people and their businesses. It's incredible and it's inspiring, and that's what inspires me.
I bet it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. See a lot of stories that you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember some of your favorite stories?
Oh, darn it.
You knew that question was coming, right?
Well, I knew it in the last...
You could feel that question
in the last 10
generating
seconds.
in
That's
my
so
brain,
funny.
right?
Oh, gosh, Blake. I wish I would have thought about this beforehand. You know what? Give me, as we're talking,
No
let me
problem.
kind of just go through
Just
my
tuck that back in there.
Rolodex in my brain and see if I can come up with, because there's always great ones.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me shoot over to something that you can do with your eyes closed and your brain half turned
Sure.
off, and that is
Go for it.
advice you would give. I mean, being able to put your business out there and to tell your story to the community, to whoever your audience is, whoever your customer is going to be. That's an incredibly important piece of being successful
Yes.
in any small business. Having the experience you have, what advice would you give to new business owners or just business owners that are concerned or are nervous about pitching their own story, right? So getting into the brain of the publisher,
Sure.
what should we be aware of and what should we think about and not think about?
Yeah. Well, I would say, first of all, don't let the fear of reaching out and sharing your story stop you from doing that. Because a lot of times I notice people that for whatever reason that there's some I can't say that word, hesitancy to.
Nailed it.
Yeah, thank you. To brag is not the word, but to put yourself out there, it's so important. And if you're not going to do it, I mean, nobody's going to do it for you. And you really have to look at why you started doing what you're doing and let that inspire you to reach out. For us, it's by email, or you can actually even go to our website, mbj.com.
Yeah.
And we have a tab or a submit button for story ideas. So, and I think a lot of publications have that. So it's not just us, but
Right.
take some time and look at areas or media where you can do that, and start tooting your own horn, for lack of a better phrase. I mean, it really, you started a business for a reason, for a need, for the desire to serve, certain people, certain industries, and let that carry you forward, because entrepreneurs, business owners are brave, very brave. Not everybody is an entrepreneur, and not everybody is capable of running a business. And just, I think, knowing that you stepped into something that not a lot of the majority of the population are not business owners. So you're in an area that you really should be proud of, and think what else is possible with what you're doing that you might not have thought possible, and that other people, you gotta take the risk and take the leap to keep moving forward, especially now.
Very true. You miss 100% of the shots that you never take.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, and absolutely. You just don't realize that. You wake up and you're like, where did time go?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So you've had a few of your own entrepreneurial pursuits.
Yes.
It's not like this is your first rodeo.
no.
What are some of your proudest moments in the world of small business and starting up your own publications or growing them? Things that really stand out for you in your career?
Well, I'll tell you just a little history about Metro Magazine,
Okay.
which is under ALH Publications. But when I was 26, my father had started a publication called Metro Monthly. He decided to cease operations on that, and that was back in 1991. And I, at 26, went up and said, "Hey, why don't what if I took this over? What if I bought this from you?" So he sold it to me for $1. But I'll tell you, it wasn't necessarily making any money. I mean, there was a reason why he was.
It's not like you got a good deal on it, so to speak.
There was a reason why he was shutting it down. So I literally took my light table, my pica pole, layout sheets, a computer, and moved everything into my little apartment, and just started putting out a monthly newspaper, which I had been more involved in the sales side of it, not in the layout. So I had to figure out layout pretty darn quickly, because I was the layout person for many, many years. But there was something in the ownership and the creativity, and also, I mean, I don't know if to be in control is the right way to say this, but there's something about creating and the visionary piece of it that I really enjoy. And I guess, doing that at 26, that was quite a leap.
Yeah.
And a risk. And I mean, back in the days, here's another funny story. When you go and look at some of the interesting challenges, because I remember back in the day, I was not making very much money at all. And I remember I had to go to this charity event because a lot of what I did was go photograph charity events. And I went to this charity event, and I didn't have any gas in my car. And I honestly didn't have any money. So I remember looking through my couch cushions, trying to find enough money so I could put gas in my tank so I could go take pictures of this black tie event of philanthropists and rich people in Omaha. That's just crazy when I think about that. But I know there's a lot of stories out there like that of people that are successful, but you do what you have to do to make it work. And that is an example. One other example, if I may.
Absolutely.
I remember I went to photograph. I had two events. One was at the Creighton Prep Bash, and one was not Zufari, but the opening of the lead jungle at the zoo.
Uh-huh.
Now, at the time I left my house, I didn't know if I had pneumonia or if I got it when I got home, but I was so sick. But I had to go to these events. There was nobody else to take these photos. So I went and I shot Creighton Prep first, and then I went to the lead jungle at the zoo. And it's really hot and steamy in the zoo, in that jungle.
Yeah.
I was so miserable, and I was so sick. And by the time I got home, I went to bed, and I ended up having pneumonia. But again, I don't encourage people to go out and do things when they're sick. especially now.
That's our disclaimer for the show.
Yeah, yes. But again, I knew I had to step up. I had to do what I had to do.
It wasn't going to get done if you didn't do it.
Yeah. And it was an important enough thing that, you're so in your business so many times, you're in your business. Mm-hmm. And when you step back and kind of look at what you've accomplished, it's pretty darn amazing.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the reasons Midlands Business Journal and the sharing story piece is so important, because letting the community know, but also letting the business owner know after that interview and once it gets published, that's something I'm super proud of too.
Yeah. For good reason.
Yeah. And I get to do it. This is my job. And I put quotes around, this is my job. This is what I get to do each day. Yeah.
Sundays aren't bad days anymore, right?
No.
You still have a 7-day a week. You have 365
Are you? Yeah. Are you kidding? People say, "Oh, it's Friday," and I'm like, yeah, "It's Friday." Yeah. Whether I'm working or thinking about work, I love what I do.
It shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been at it for a while. Good for
Yep.
you. Which is a great opportunity to spin it to the future. What should we expect to see from your publications in the near future? Any changes? Anything new?
Things are changing so quickly. We are launching. I've had Metro TV since 2018, but we're going to be launching MBJ TV. Mm-hmm. Just an opportunity to have that verbal conversation along with the print. But as you know, things are just constantly changing. Now, and so quickly. If we sit here a year from now, there's going to be something different, something new. And I'm excited about that. And I'm also excited on reporting about those things too. But again, I kind of use this, anything is possible. I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid of what's next. I really look forward to what's next. And I think with MBJ, the business community just is constantly changing too and growing, and there's new businesses coming in. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, a lot of businesses did close, and but it's nice. And actually, a lot of businesses actually opened during that time.
That's
it's
true.
really interesting to see people the wheels were in motion, and they didn't stop. So, and that's just the cycle. I mean, businesses open and businesses close, and we hate to see when they close. But it's interesting looking at the cycle of any business, because there is one. And I mean, honestly, not all businesses are supposed to be around for 100 years. I mean, that's just, it's not that they're not supposed to, but there are the life cycle of a business. And, and to really kind of know where you are in that process. And I don't even know if I should say that, because I'm not even sure where I'm at in the cycle of that business. But I know that for us, whether you're starting, you're in the middle, or you make a decision that, hey, for your journey, this is whether you sell your business or whether you decide, hey, you know what, it's been a good run and it's time to step away. It's not always some tragic, circumstance when a business closes, but, business is just a celebration. Life, we could not exist without businesses. They're here for a reason. And to really know, I think, kind of going back a little bit to what we were talking about, to know, just really know who your audience is or who you serve. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes businesses, and I totally have done this for my business, you start to think that you need to serve everybody, everyone and everything, or how can you reach more people or reach a greater demographic? Sometimes that's appropriate. But sometimes you just really need to look at who are the people that you serve, who is your customer, who is your client, and get really good at that.
Sage advice.
Yeah.
Spoken by somebody who's
been there, done it.
Yeah. Personally and consulted. I can't even imagine how many people on how to find their right audience.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's something I think you just have to check in every now and then and just make sure that you're doing what you do best.
Indeed. So as we were planning for this episode, you wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about, this is the Heartland Franchise Guy podcast. You want to talk a little bit about why franchise entrepreneurs should be interested in paying attention to the Midlands Business Journal.
Well, and I have to tell you, Blake, having conversations with you, I really have a better understanding of that franchise owner. And I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Because these owners, and really knowing franchise owners and these businesses that for whatever reason they have, their heart is, into the industry or it'll be interesting because we have a franchise issue coming up, and we're interviewing some people about why, why did they choose the industry? What was the, attraction to go to a franchise operation versus starting your own? Mm-hmm. And like we talked about when we had coffee, starting your own business, that's not easy at all.
No, it's not.
So there is something about the franchise piece and the families that decide to do that, and how that does that creates potentially a much brighter future for them as well from a financial standpoint. And MBJ, really looking at sharing those stories on a more regular basis with these franchise owners. And I find it fascinating. So for me, it's almost somewhat selfish, as I'm really looking forward to learning more about what makes a franchise owner tick, because they're a business owner and they're a local business owner. So
yep.
I'm excited.
We're incorporated locally. We pay local taxes, hire local people, volunteer locally. We've just chosen to attach our wagon to somebody that has some credibility and experience that we can learn from.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. This is America, it's awesome.
Well said.
I mean, they do it in other countries, but yeah.
Remember that question that you said that you were going to think on for a little bit? About some of the most interesting stories?
Yes.
Anything come to mind yet?
Darn it. Oh, you're going to have me back, and I'll bring a bunch of them.
All right. Well,
I mean, I'll
everybody heard it live. Andy's coming back for another episode.
I will bring a bunch of inspiring stories. There's a lot of them.
There are so many in there.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I've always enjoyed about the Midlands Business Journal, and probably all of your publications, is that you make it very human. It's a personalized element, and it is about that business and what that business is doing in the community. And I love how you look at it from all perspectives: the employees, the customer that it's serving, the families that it's helping, and of course, the people that founded it.
Right. And I think one thing too that's really I don't want to call it a hot topic, but it's a priority now is company culture. And what is the culture that the company is inviting people to be a part of, or not inviting people to be a part of, but that's really important, along with the giving culture of a company and how they impact the community and give back. Those are things that you did not see 10, 20 years ago.
Positive development.
Yeah. And especially now it's important, even when a lot of times, your employees now are not working in the office, or they're working partly at home or partly in the office, and creating a culture where you're engaged. I mean, engagement is a big thing and really important.
So speaking of engagement, as we're wrapping up here, tell me a little bit about the best way for people to get in touch with you if they're looking to either be a part of the MBJ or to learn how to become a subscriber to it. What's the best way to get in touch with you guys?
Well, we have a wonderful website, which is number one, and it's so easy, mbj.com.
Yes.
And we actually launched it a year ago, but there's so many, there's lots of different ways to get a hold of it. I mean, you can get a hold of me personally. We've got our sales department. We've got our editorial department. You can subscribe from the site. You can also, like I said, submit a story idea.
Yes.
Which I just encourage people to do that. We want to know who you are and what you're doing. So, and we want to know how to get a hold of you as well. So mbj.com.
Thank you, Andee.
Thank
you so much for being here with us today.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate all the advice that you shared with us.
Yeah, thank you. It was an honor. But have me back.
Now, we're committed to it.
Yes.
It's on tape.
I'll have stories.
And we want to have you come back as well. As Andee was saying, the important thing is sharing the information that you're learning and sharing the stories. So please don't keep our podcast a secret. Share it, subscribe, follow, and like it. And we hope that you'll share this episode with anybody who could use a little inspiration for why small business and why to stick with small business through tough times. Thank you all for being here again. One more thank you to Andee Hoig. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
We'll see you all here again on another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy.